AP and DP, SEC, ACC, ACC, SEC. I'm AP Stedham from LA, Lower Alabama, with my co-host, DP Doug Parrish, former University of California defensive back extraordinaire. DP, week 10 of college football for us.
Yes, indeedy. And I'm super excited to hear what you got to say about the SEC. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the ACC and see what fantastic games we have coming up this weekend.
Yeah, I have 6 games, DP, but I'm making the handoff to you with, I believe, 9 games.
Absolutely. I got 9. I'm going to tackle 3 at a time, and we'll finish it on up.
Absolutely.
All right. So first one that I have, AP, is Pitt at Stanford. And this is an interesting game. It's a cross-country matchup, as you know, and it's pretty much a game where you have 2 teams that are trying to get back on track. Pitt is actually they're rolling right now. They're 6-2, and after a huge win over North Carolina State last week, 53-34, freshman quarterback Mason Heischel went off. He had 423 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Is that all? Is that all?
That's it, man. He's quickly becoming one of the best young quarterbacks in the ACC. The Panthers' offense looks confident and explosive heading into this one. So Stanford has their hands full. They're sitting at 3-5 AP and coming off a tough loss, 42-7 against Miami. You know, quarterback Ben Goldbrinson has really struggled. He's got a couple of interceptions, but overall, the Cardinals just couldn't get much going last week. But so this one feels like 2 teams, if you will, with going in opposite directions. Pitt is trying to stay hot. Stanford is trying to stop the bleeding. But if Hanchel can keep slinging it like he did last week, it could be another long day for the Cardinal defense. But if Stanford can protect the ball and slow things down, it may be a good game, and it may be interesting. Either way, it should be a fun game to watch.
Doug, that game is, you say at Stanford? At Stanford?
Yes.
So Pittsburgh's flying across country. Okay, that might slow him down. Flying across country. That'd be it, right? Hot quarterback.
And this weekend on the other one, we got North Carolina, Bill Belichick and his crew taking on Syracuse in the Dome, AP, in the Dome. Yeah, so no climate issues there at all.
Attitude issues, maybe. No climate issues, right?
No climate issues. Yeah, but these are 2 teams that are trying to get back on track, you know, starting with North Carolina. You know, they're 2-5. They had huge expectations at the beginning of the year, as you know, and they're still trying to find their foot under Bill Belichick. They're coming off a tough loss against Virginia, 17-16. It was very close. They actually went for 2 and didn't get it. So it was very close. And quarterback Gio Lopez has some ups and downs this season. Throwing the ball, he has just over 800 yards. And passing, and he has 5 picks. But the offense has flashes of potential, as you may know. You know, some of these teams get hot, and then some they kind of cool off. Yeah. But Syracuse, on the other hand, they're 3-5, AP, and they're coming off a rough one too. They got blown out by Georgia Tech, who's undefeated, as you know, 41-16, AP. The big storyline here is the quarterback, Steve Angeli, right? He went down, as we know, with that Achilles. So the backup, Ricky Collins, came in to try to keep things afloat. And so the offense hasn't looked the same, but it's you know, they've given up too many big plays, basically. But what things to watch is that UNC's defense, you know, they've been kind of solid, but they got to protect the ball, right? And for Syracuse, it's all about Collins settling in early. And if he can move the chains and get some rhythm going, the home crowd could be a factor, right? So this is a toss-up game. This is a definitely toss-up game between them. And then next I have is number 10, Miami, AP, taking on one of my favorite teams is SMU. this weekend's matchup is going to be in Dallas. It's going to be a fun one because the 10th
Yeah.
ranked Miami Hurricanes are coming into town. They're trying to bounce back after a tough loss, 13-12 at Wake Forest. The Mustangs are 5-3 overall and eager to defend their home turf after 2 straight road trips. Miami's coming off a dominant 42-7 win over Stanford, and they'll try to keep the momentum going. As you know, Carson Beck, former Georgia guy, he's got that offense going. He's got over 1,600 yards passing this season. And then Mark Fletcher in the backfield's coming out. He's got 600 yards rushing for the season. And another, 600 yards coming from Malachi Toney in the air. So defensively, the Canes are anchored by Keontae Scott. He's got 34 tackles, AP, and he's been a ball hawk all year, and he's got 3 interceptions. For SMU, Kevin Jennings is the center of attention, 2,100 yards passing already this season, and he's been slinging the ball everywhere. I think defensively, you got to look at SMU's defense too, and Isaiah Wacobia, he's tackling like crazy, 65 tackles already, and Ahmad Moe, yeah, that's a lot of tackles. Has 3 interceptions as well. So this game is going to come down to whether SMU's defense can slow down Miami's tempo and protect them against big plays, AP. And it looks like, Miami has looked elite at times, but they need to stay consistent. And they're going to have to do a good job against SMU and that Dallas crowd that they're going to have down there. So should be interesting. On paper, it looks like Miami has the advantage, but we'll see.
Yeah, SMU was slowed down. Last week they got slowed down by Wake Forest, Tim.
And there are playoff implications, right?
Yes.
In both games. Yep.
Doug, do you have the interceptions for Carson Beck by chance? I know he threw 4 in that loss, the game they lost, but do you have his total interception total by chance? I was just wondering. I'm just curious. Just check on it.
All right.
I'm gonna proceed with a couple of games here, Doug, with the SEC.
Oh, good, AP.
Game 1, we have a couple unranked teams, both searching for a win in the SEC in the conference. Doug, Mississippi State 4-4, 0-4 in the conference. Arkansas 2-6, 0-4 in the conference. The game will be played in Fayetteville. This series, Doug, is pretty close. 19 wins for Arkansas, 15 for Mississippi State, 1 tie. Mississippi State, once again, Doug, they take a strong team like Texas to overtime, 45-38. They lost. They had a 17-point lead in the 4th quarter. Should have won the game. Texas stayed tough. They didn't play well, but they put 45 points on the board, had the 79-yard punt return again by the same player. Niblett, I believe his name is, number 21, I think he is. But anyway, he did that in the Oklahoma game, if you recall. So Texas won overtime, 45-38. Arkansas had a lead against Auburn in the 4th quarter, couldn't hold on. Lost to Auburn, that's Auburn's first win in the conference, 33-24. Mississippi State averaging 32 points a game. They score plenty of points, Doug, but defensively they give up 23. Arkansas, we know they can score 35 points a game, give up 32. So that's been their issue, not the point total. It's been the defense. For years now, 3 or 4 years, they can't play defense at Arkansas. They can't rally the troops up there to come up with personnel that can make critical stops. If nothing else, Doug, we know that this is a different era. You don't shut people out, but can you make a few critical stops when you're scoring 35 points a game? You can win. You can win. But they haven't been able to do it. Arkansas, 490 yards, 200 plus yards rushing, almost 300 passing. Mississippi State, 410 yards, passing 246, rushing 163. Defensively, like I said, their total defenses, Arkansas, the 121st, Doug, in the country. There's only 136 teams. They're 121st. And Mississippi State is 60th. So Arkansas is favored by 3.5 points because they're playing at home and they have that offense. Taylor Green, 2,781 yards, passing 600 yards, rushing, Doug. 600 yards by the quarterback rushing.
Wow.
62%, 18 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Blake Shape in Mississippi State, 66%, 1,900 yards, Doug, 13 touchdowns, 5 INTs. So probably a big offensive fest up there with all those points being scored. Somebody will get the ball last probably. Second game, Doug, another pair of unranked teams. Kentucky 0-5 in the conference, 2-5 overall. Auburn 4-4, 1-4 in the conference. Like I said, they beat Arkansas for their first win. The game's at Arkansas. They're a 4.5-point favorite. This series, the Tigers lead the Wildcats 28-6-1. Kentucky's offense is 91st in the country, 361 yards only, 24 points a game. Auburn averages 24 points a game, but their offense is 105th in the country. Defensively, Auburn is usually good, though, 29th in the country. That's good. Used to be winning a lot of ball games, but offensively, they've sputtered consistently the entire year. Defensively, Kentucky's 88th in the country. Some good numbers for Auburn. They can disrupt you. 18th in sacks, 10th in tackles for loss, a positive .88, 13th in the country for turnovers. Kentucky 114th, Doug, in the turnover department, minus .71. Kentucky allows 30 points a game, Doug.
Wow.
30 points a game. Auburn only 18. Tutter Bowley, young quarterback, Bluegrass native, 1,200 yards, nine TDs, 5 interceptions. Jackson Arnold for the transfer from Oklahoma for Auburn, 1,200 yards himself, 63%. Only 6 touchdowns, 6 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They brought in Ashton Daniels from Stanford last week to participate, and he contributed by leading the team from behind to win at Arkansas. So he threw 8 passes, completed 6, 77 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. So 2 teams that are trying to be positive in down seasons.
Sure. Understood. And just to follow up, AP, on your question, sir, Carson Beck, he has 1,673 yards passing, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. You mentioned he had 4 in one game. So QBR rating of 79.3, but
Yeah, I would think we'd have more touchdown passes with the way they throw it around, more than 12.
Exactly.
That's what I would get.
For me, AP, we got Louisville versus at Virginia Tech. All right, folks, it's going to be a really intriguing game here between these two. Louisville at Virginia Tech. The Hokies are sitting at 3-5, but they're back home in Blacksburg at Lane Stadium, and it's always a tough place to play, especially at night. On the other side, Louisville comes in ranked number 16 in the country with a 6-1 record, AP.
Looking for the playoffs.
Yeah, man. They're in it, man. They are one of the most consistent teams, I would think. So if we start with Miller Moss, he's been throwing the ball all over the field. He's got 1,793 yards on the season. He's spreading the ball around to big-time targets like Chris Bell, and he's hauled in about 687 yards receiving. They're balanced. Isaac Brown gives them a strong presence on the ground with 652 yards rushing. And defensively, the team flies to the ball, which I really like. That was one of the things that Coach Snyder really embedded in us. Fly to the ball, run to the ball. You never know what's going to happen. Anyway, they're coached by my old teammate, Ron English, and he has his secondary firing on all cylinders. He's got one guy back there at the cornerback position. He's got 3 interceptions already. Now, as far as Virginia Tech is concerned, they're coming off a thrilling double overtime win against Cal. So they've got some momentum going. Kyron Jones has been doing his best to keep the offense moving, AP. He's got over 1,500 yards passing. His favorite target is Aiden Green, who sits at close to 400 yards receiving. Marcellus Hawkins has been a steady back in the running game for them. He's got 531 yards rushing. And on defense, can't forget Caleb Spencer. He's racked up 42 tackles at his linebacker spot. And Isaiah Brown is holding things down in the secondary, and being a leader in that regard. So when it comes to Louisville, Louisville is more talented and more disciplined, in my opinion. But Virginia Tech is scrappy, and know how they won in double overtime last week. But if the Hokies slow down Louisville's passing game and control everything, the tempo, they can make this a very interesting game. The next one I have, AP, is number 8, Georgia Tech against North Carolina State. And AP, I'm telling you, man, this is a really interesting ball club. The Yellow Jackets, they're in the national spotlight. They're undefeated. They're 8-0. And when I saw that on paper, I thought to myself, 8-0. Wow.
Right. Yeah.
Man, that's big time. So
Doug, I don't think they've been in this position. I think I heard possibly 1966.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So
something like that.
It's shocking to see them. But the parity among college football right now is immense, because you look at the transfer portal and you can get great guys. I mean, each year you could be dominant. You could be down one year. I mean, it fluctuates. And you see it now. These coaches are on the hot seat if they're not winning. If they lose 3 in a row, they're out, So Georgia Tech has handled business week after week after week, as you know, AP. And so I think that the Yellow Jackets will be heavily favored in this game. Obviously, there's NC State is not a gimme game. The Wolfpack is sitting at 4-4, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard game. But Haynes King is the real deal. When you can throw the ball and you can run the ball, keep those defenses off balance, you're doing something very special. So I think that is I think I have one more game here for you this session, AP.
Go ahead. Yeah, and just one thing about Haynes King.
Yeah.
And I think his team loves him as a leader.
Yes, you're correct. And see, when you have a player like that, he's infectious. His winning personality, even when he walks in the room, his aura is like, hey, you're the man. I want to follow you. I want to sit down next to you and eat lunch with you. I want to go to dinner. What do you want to? That bond is what makes players go the extra mile. When we talk about running to the ball, hey, I want to run to the ball because I don't want to let my teammate down. So it is a special situation at Georgia Tech right now. My last one is on this segment is Florida State. So Wake Forest at Florida State Saturday night in Tallahassee. It's going to be rocking there, man. I couldn't even hear myself think when I was there last time. They had a thrilling victory, 13-12 over SMU of all people, man. So
nice win.
Yeah, very nice win. Sitting at 5-2, this team has shown resilience all season long. So Wake Forest, Robbie Ashford has been a steady quarterback for them at Wake Forest. He's thrown for over 1,200 yards. The ground game has been powered by Damon Claiborne, who is a pretty talented running back. He's just crossed the 600-yard mark. And then he has Chris Burns that leads all receivers with close to 500 yards. But Florida State, they're coming in at 3-4. They're desperate for a statement win at home. And hopefully Tommy Castellanos has been their spark, and hopefully he'll continue to be their spark. He's got over 1,600 yards passing. He's a big play type of guy. Gavin Sawchuk adds the balance in the rushing. So it is very interesting to see how, the players for Florida State respond, because they know they gotta like try to force this one to go into. It's got to stay close. But you gotta expect a wild one under the lights at Florida State, because the crowd is so intense. It makes communication nearly impossible. But Wake Forest has momentum and confidence after last week's dramatic win. Bowl eligibility, AP. Everybody's talking about bowl eligibility. Well, it's at stake. And this one's got the makings of a classic ACC battle, physical, emotional, and potentially decided in the final minutes once again.
Yeah, Doug, is that Florida State, they have not won in the conference, or have they won?
They're 3-4, and so they are. I don't think they've won a conference game yet.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But two dual threat quarterbacks.
Yes, that should be fun, right?
Yeah.
That's my segment for now, and I got one more
Okay.
segment. Yeah.
Okay. I'll come back with two from the SEC, Doug.
Okay.
Games 3 and 4. We have Florida and Georgia playing in Jacksonville. That's the rivalry that has been played for decades in the city of Jacksonville, which is right on the border of the two states. Next year, Doug, I think the game is in Atlanta, and then the following year, Tampa.
Oh.
And so maybe because they're building a new stadium or something. I don't know. So I don't know if that's going to continue in Jacksonville, but the next 2 years it won't be in Jacksonville. So Florida, with the interim head coach Billy Gonzalez, we know Billy Napier was relieved of his duties.
Sure.
Florida 3-4, 2-2 in the conference. We know that Florida is always an up and down team the last couple of years. They beat Texas this year, and last year, beat LSU, beat Ole Miss. So this series, Doug, is in favor of Georgia, 56-44-2. Georgia, number 5 in the country, in the Football Writers Association of America, National Football Foundation Super 16 poll, 6-1, 4-1 in the conference, 7.5-point favorite. I believe Georgia will probably take care of business. Gunnar Stockton, excellent quarterback. Georgia averaging 33 points a game. They give up 19. Florida is 22 points a game. They give up 20. But Georgia, interesting stats on defense, Doug. 120th in sacks, Georgia.
Wow.
How could you be at the University of Georgia recruiting all these 5-star players and you're 120th in the country in sacks? You're 129th in tackles for loss. Georgia. This is Georgia. Noted for defense, right?
That's right.
82 in the turnover department, minus 0.14. Florida's worse than that, minus 0.43, 103rd in the country. Offensively, but Georgia's overall defense, Doug, this is what's fascinating. I just gave you those numbers in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Total defense at 25th in the country, Doug.
Oh.
One of the better defenses, 25th. Total yards, 313. Okay. Florida's offense, 90th in the country. Georgia, 37. So Georgia probably take care of business. Gunnar Stockton, 1,500 yards. Doug, 10 TDs, a single interception. He takes care of the ball. DJ Lagway, 9 touchdowns, Doug. DJ Lagway, the young quarterback, that's a young second year. 9 touchdowns, Doug. 9 interceptions. Gives the ball away. I saw the game where he had 4 or 5 against LSU in Baton Rouge. But I think Georgia will take care of business because they're playing for that chance to be in the SEC championship game and earn a berth as one of the 12 teams in college football playoff. So we'll move on to the next game, Game 4, South Carolina versus it's at Ole Miss. This series, Doug, slight favor to Ole Miss, 10-8. South Carolina, valiant effort against Alabama last week at home in Columbia. They failed to maintain the lead. Mm-hmm. Alabama came back in the last quarter due to a fumble by Lenora Sellers. The quarterback from South Carolina went to the pile.
Yeah.
It kind of dragged on. The ball pops out.
That's right.
They lost it. Alabama scored. That was the end of that, 29-22. South Carolina 3-5, 1-5 in the conference. Ole Miss 7-1, 4-1 in the conference, 7th ranked. On the road, they went to Oklahoma, put up 34 points, Doug, against the top defense in the country. Think about that. Oklahoma was surrendering 10, 12, 14 points, something like a low number.
Sure.
Scored 34 on the road. And they had the lead and lost it. 26-25, came back, finished with 34 points for the win, averaging 37 points. South Carolina only 20. South Carolina's offense, Doug, 125th in the country. Ole Miss is 10th with 484 yards. Defensively, Ole Miss is 64th. South Carolina 39th. Not bad defense, right? They're giving up 21 points. Ole Miss 23, but not complimentary football because they can't score enough points. They're dragging on that side of the ball, even with Lenora Sellers at the quarterback position. So some interesting numbers for Ole Miss on defense: 113th in tackles for loss, 98th in sacks. But so they have the 64th best total defense. So that's the game. 12.5 point favorite. Ole Miss playing at home, looking for a playoff position. And Doug, I don't believe Ole Miss has been to the SEC championship game in their history. So that's a wow.
Yeah, and they're looking like they have a good strong.
They have a chance. They have a chance. They're one of several. They have the one loss in the conference. So, okay, Doug, back to you with the ACC.
Absolutely, Duke at Clemson. This is wrapping up to be a ACC showdown in Death Valley. AP, you know, you got Clemson returning home to Memorial Stadium, looking to get back on track. They had a tough loss, remember, to SMU, but the Tigers come in at 3-4, trying to claw their way back to 500. Visiting, the Duke Blue Devils sitting at 4-3, AP. And so they've shown flashes that they're more balanced than a lot of these teams in the ACC. But Darian Menza for Duke, he's been the offensive engine for them.
Quarterback.
The quarterback.
From Tulane. Big price. Big price tag to acquire him. He's
already got 2,200 yards this season. He's spread the ball around to guys like Cooper Bacart, and he's hauled in almost 700 yards receiving. Nate Shepard is adding another 500 yards on the ground. And then defensively, Caleb Weaver's flying around. He's got 50 tackles, and Masu Kane came up with some clutch plays with a pair of interceptions. I mean, hey, Clemson's going to have their hands full but they continue to try to look for rhythm in terms of, Clemson in regards to Clemson and Cade Klubnik, because he's thrown over 1,500 yards, but the Tigers have struggled. They still struggle with consistency. Adam Randall has been a bright spot rushing the ball, but, Brian Westcott Jr. Also continues to emerge as a go-to target with 537 yards receiving. And on defense, Sammy Brown is leading the charge with 48 tackles, AP, while safety Ricardo Jones has been a ball hawk, and he has 3 interceptions. Dabo Swinney's team's got to play with a sense of urgency, AP, in front of the home crowd. But Duke has enough firepower to make this one interesting. So
I think so.
Pivotal matchup between two programs that are jockeying for a position to go to a bowl game and also to try to get to, potential ACC berth in the ACC championship. So, I mean, I think both of those teams are going to have to find their way. The Golden Bears of California, Cal Berkeley, returns back home and taking on Virginia, AP. They're ranked number 15th in the country, man.
Virginia.
Cal enters this game at 5-3 overall, AP, and 2-2 in the ACC. Definitely, they are looking to rebound against that massive loss against Virginia Tech. But Virginia rose into Berkeley with some momentum of their own. They're 7-1. 4-0 AP in conference play, and they continue to prove that they're one of the most complete teams in the ACC. And leading the charge for the Cavaliers is Chandler Morris, who he's thrown for over 1,800 yards. He's got 12 touchdowns, AP. People don't realize this guy can get the ball in the end zone. He's got 5 interceptions, so he's got to stay tight with those interceptions. But he's got to bounce it off and give it up to this physical running back that they have, who has over 600 yards with Morris. And then through the air, Morris has 477 yards. And then you have another weapon that he has with 32 receptions. And so switching over to Cal has to be putting some things together. They got to do a complete performance, in my view. JKS, their starting quarterback, true freshman. He's got almost 2,000 yards, AP, 11 touchdowns. Again, he can get it into the end zone too. But consistency is the challenge for Cal. They can bring their A game. They'll be tough. Last week, Cal fell to Virginia Tech in a game that slipped away late. But Virginia edged North Carolina 17-16 in a nail biter. So both of these teams are kind of right where they need to be, but I think if Cal can feed off of the home crowd at Memorial Stadium, they've got a real chance to make this one interesting. But Virginia has to find a way to win, even though it may be ugly, AP. Then my last game I got for you, AP, is number 12, Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman against Bill O'Brien, Boston College. Now this weekend, hey, Notre Dame is ranked number 12 in the country. It's easy to say, hey, Notre Dame got this game wrapped up, but you can never tell, and you can't take your opponent for granted. AP, you know that. And this is Boston College is basically they could describe their season as disastrous, but because they're sitting at 1-7, they need to come in with a sense of urgency as well. It's been 6 straight losses, AP. I don't know when the last time you've heard of a team going, six losses like that.
6 losses, wow.
Yeah. But quarterback Lonergan, he's throwing the ball around. He's got 1,300 yards, over 1,300 yards passing. And but I think they're just continuing to fight each week to try to maintain some sense of composure, some sense of pride among the team. Now, on the flip side, Notre Dame has been steady all year long. They're 5-2. They're ranked number 12, as I mentioned. CJ Carr has been sharp with over 1,700 yards passing. Jeremiah Love keeps the offense balanced with over 800 yards rushing. Yeah. Notre Dame, actually, AP, I'm sure you know this, but Notre Dame has one of the best 1-2 running back punches in college football with Jeremiah Love and J.D. Price. J.D. Price actually has 8 rushing touchdowns. He's averaging almost 7 yards per carry, which is huge. When you can go over 5 yards per carry, you're doing something good. On defense, Don Schuler and Leonard Moore have anchored the unit, been among the nation's most disciplined defense, and Moore has 3 interceptions this season. On paper, it shouldn't be close. Boston College simply doesn't have the talent to hang with Notre Dame, AP. No. But unless the Irish do something silly, bad call, self-inflicted wounds, bottom line, Notre Dame can't afford any mental lapse. They got to play their game. They got to move on so that they can continue to get their bowl berth.
Their playoff hopes rely on them winning every game. And
yes,
Doug, as you know, for the Fighting Irish to visit the city of Boston, we know that Boston College will fight hard to play against Notre Dame because of that heritage of Irish, all those Irish descendants being in Boston. So that'll be a tough out for Notre Dame, even though Boston College is probably overmatched, but they'll fight very hard against the Irish.
Yeah.
So Doug, that's all your games, correct? The 9 matchups you have?
Okay. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, we just have a couple left, Doug. Oklahoma, 6-2, 2-2 in the conference. They had that home loss to Ole Miss, 34-26. Had a chance. They went ahead late, 26-25. Couldn't hold the lead against Tennessee. Josh Heupel, the head coach of Tennessee, he was the quarterback for the Sooners, and a very good quarterback for that matter of fact. A national championship. I think he was the quarterback way back in 99. It was, or 2000, something like that, around that time. But they were on the road, beat Kentucky 56-34. This series favors Oklahoma 3-2. Oklahoma's averaging 28 points a game. Tennessee 45 points a game, Doug. The number 3 offense in the country, 510 yards. Oklahoma 376 yards, 77th. I thought they would be better this year. We know that Jaden Knott, he hadn't, for whatever reason, injuries and other things.
Right.
That hasn't panned out. I thought that was the best transfer duo. John Mateer from Washington State and Jaden Knott from University of California. Jaden Knott had over 2,000 yards already when he performed for the Golden Bears. So John Mateer, Doug, 8 touchdowns 6 interceptions. I thought the number would be much larger on the touchdown passing side, but no. Tennessee averaging 45 points a game, give up 30. They give up 30 points a game, Doug, Tennessee. Ooh. But they are disruptive with their sacks, 6th in the country, and tackles for loss, 6th in the country. And they're on the positive side for their turnovers, 0.50, which is 39th in the country. Oklahoma, on the other hand, minus 0.75, 117th in the country on the turnover margin. Not good. So I just think Joey Aguilar, who's thrown for 2,344 yards, Doug, 18 touchdowns.
Wow.
18 and only 6 interceptions. I think there's way too much offense for Oklahoma to keep up. They showed that they couldn't stop Ole Miss last week at home.
That's right.
I just think Tennessee is going to have their chances to win this ball game, should prevail. Only a 3.5 point favorite, though. Wow. But like I said, defensively, Oklahoma is 6th in the country. But I'm not buying those statistics stuff, Doug. I think it's not a true reflection of their ability to stop other teams. When they showed last week, Ole Miss came to town, put 34 points on them. I think Tennessee has an outstanding offense. I mean, it's not only my opinion, we've seen it, 500 yards per game. So Oklahoma, it says, only giving up 12 points a game. I think Tennessee's going to score a minimum 24. That's my projection anyway, at home. So the next game, Doug, big ball game. Vanderbilt, Doug, number 9 in the country. Vanderbilt, 7-1, 3-1 in the conference. Coming up a big 1-touchdown victory at home over Missouri, 17-10. They're playing at Texas, Austin, Texas. Doug, who holds the lead in this series, Texas or Vanderbilt?
I would say Texas.
Doug, 99 out of 100 would say Texas. Vanderbilt leads this series 8-4 and 1 tie. They played, many years ago, but Vanderbilt leads this series over Texas. Isn't that amazing?
That
Texas 6-2, 3-1 in the conference, 2.5 point favorite. They had the overtime victory, down 17 points plus, came back in the fourth quarter to win on the road to Mississippi State, 45-38. Arch Manning is in the concussion protocol. I think he will play. Matthew Caldwell, the transfer from Troy, came in last week, threw the winning touchdown in overtime, believe it or not. Defensively, Vanderbilt pretty good, 31st overall, 33rd ranked offense, 433 yards, averaging 38 points a game. Texas averaging 29. You'd think that number would be much more than 29 with Arch Manning at Texas, but it's not. 78th in the country, only 375 yards. Defensively, they only 299 yards they allowed. That's 19th in the country. They're 4th in sacks, 34th in tackles for loss, 0.88, 13th in the country on the turnovers. Vanderbilt, 0.50 on the turnover margin, 39th in the country. They have a good defense, not spectacular, only allowing 18 points a game. Texas allowing 14. Arch Manning, 1,795 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 61%. Diego Pavia, the man with the magic, Doug, 68% passing, 1,698 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I can't wait to watch that game, Doug. Vanderbilt. If Vanderbilt wins that game, Doug, I'm telling you, they'd be 8-1, 4-1 in the conference.
Yeah.
They got a tough few games left too. They have to play at Knoxville against Tennessee, and but if they can beat Texas down there in Austin, those Texas fans, I don't know what they'll do. So anyway,
weekend.
Yeah. But anyway, Doug, that's a nice slate of ball games. 9 games in the ACC, 6 games in the SEC, and we'd like to thank everyone for watching AP and DP, DP and AP, SEC, ACC, ACC, SEC. So we'll see you next week for another episode.
Thank you so much, AP.
Thank you, Doug.